Line moves, Teddy, in the NFL. So no, look, divisional weekend lining up on Saturday and Sunday. Some interesting ones to take a look at here. Some high scoring, Teddy. And the first one we're anticipating, 57 now as a total in the over-under for the playoffs between the Indianapolis Colts and the Kansas City Chiefs. We are expecting some points to be in this one. There are some intriguing battles that we'll take a look at as we go along throughout the week. You know, the offensive line not giving up sacks for the Indianapolis Colts, the Kansas City Chiefs, a little bit weak on the back end of the defense, but up front, being able to sack the quarterback. Weather conditions not looking to be too big of a factor in this one, Teddy, but 57 just seems high for the playoffs.
Sure, and it is high for the playoffs, but it's also the Kansas City Chiefs, who are something of a different animal. And you have Patrick Mahomes on the one side and Andrew Luck on the other. We saw in the opening round, 3 unders, 1 over. The only over that cashed came, in kind of bad beat-ish with the Seahawks and the Cowboys going over the total, although it wasn't the 2-point conversion. It was that final touchdown that got it there with Seattle coming through the back door. That also sent the game over the total before the 2-point conversion, but that was the only over. There weren't any shootouts in the wild card round of the playoffs. Now, obviously, with these two QBs and these two level of potency, offensive with this level of potency, we are seeing a fair bit of overpressure. All that being said, Colts are 6-2 to the under in their last 8 ball games. They have not been cashing winning bets. And as I've talked about all week with this game, in my mind, it comes down to a single handicap. Colts offensive line versus KC defensive front. If the Colts, what they allow, only 18 sacks in the season, Andrew Luck went through a 5-game stretch where he didn't get sacked even once. If Luck's uniform is clean, Indy's going to cover, maybe win. If that KC pass rush with 52 sacks on the season gets to Luck, KC's going to win, and Indy's season likely to be over fairly early on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, the total also, another interesting one, Teddy, which we'll get to real quick here, just as a synopsis. The New England Patriots and the Charger game, which dipped to as low as 45, but it looks like weather not really going to be a concern. It's going to be cold in the Northeast here in Foxborough, but maybe 25, 26 degrees at kickoff, light winds, but that expected snowstorm or rain might not hit at this time, so you're seeing a buyback in that one as 47s look like they're spread across the board. One interesting number I always like to look at in the playoffs, and obviously during the regular season as well, is when a football team is getting 7 points, and as a sports gambler, sometimes you're waiting on that, saying, "Ooh, maybe it'll go to 6.5," or is there value if it goes to 7.5? Just from a betting perspective and a betting side, Teddy, talk about how people approach these games, professionals, public, when you see that 7, because natural intuition is going to say, "Boy, I really would like it if it went to 6.5. I would jump on the Rams," or "Ooh, if I can get 7.5, I would lean towards the Cowboys." Talk about some of your criteria in that one.
Sure, and it's the same thing around 3. When the difference between 2.5 and 3.5 in the betting markets is enormous because more games get decided by a 3-point margin, by a field goal, than any other factor, any other final margin in the NFL. 7 is the second most likely, most common final differential between the two teams, and obviously the difference between 6.5 and 7.5 is enormous. As we speak right now on Wednesday morning, the line is showing indications that it's going to go up, not down. I call them leading indicator books. Pinnacle already at 7.5. Bookmaker 7.5. Now they're minus 19 on LA. That's been bet up so far this morning. We're starting to see the Rams at 7 minus extra juice. It's not the minus 110. That tells us the markets are looking at the Rams side now. If you like LA, I would bet them now, not later. If you like Dallas, hold off. These 7.5s appear like they may be more prevalent in the days to come between now and kickoff.